Are you doing protective styling wrong? That's all we're talking about in this video. Protective styling, we know, can be super beneficial for our hair because it tucks our hair away, it gives our hair a break, it gives us a break. So we end up being more patient with our hair once we take it out of the protective style. It protects the hair from the elements, from heat, tools, you name it. Protective styling is a well-known strategy to grow and retain your length. However, you can actually mess it up, whether it be at the installation stage, the maintenance stage, or even the takedown of the protective style. So if you guys want to find out the do's and don'ts of protective styling, some tips and tricks here and there to make sure that your protective style is actually working for you, not against, keep watching. So protective styling simply means putting your hair away, tucking the ends of your hair away hidden. So this is considered a protective style because my hair is in there, all of it, not just the ends, but my entire hair is hiding inside this crochet style. You can do protective styles with just your hair, or you can use extensions, same thing, as long as the ends are tucked away, it's the same thing. Now, if your hair is unhealthy, if it's damaged, or maybe, it's just not at its optimum health, then I would not use hair extensions. And that's simply because hair extensions can be a little bit heavy on the hair. And they do require some sort of stamina, some sort of strength from the actual hair itself to withstand the extensions. The installation process can actually, be a little bit rigorous, and sometimes, if your hair is already damaged, you don't want to risk damaging it further. So if you're struggling with your edges, if your hair is damaged, your ends, if you're struggling with single strand knots, split ends, etc., things like that, I would encourage you to try and look for protective styles that do not use hair extensions. So you can do twists with your own hair, you can do cornrows with your own hair. What else can you do? You can do braids with your own hair. Maybe something like a headband wig I would recommend, because it protects your edges, and you can have your hair in there without having to withstand hair extensions like these ones. And if you are one of those naturals where maybe you're transitioning, or your hair is damaged, or you're trying to transition from damaged or color damaged hair to healthy hair, I would recommend just focus on the health of your hair. You need to actually have access to your hair quite frequently so that you can nourish it and give it the strength and the nourishment pretty much that it needs to come back to its optimum state. And in doing that, you can sort of make sure that you hydrate and moisturize your hair 3 to 4 times a week. I like to do every other day. I'm spritzing my hair with that concoction, and I'll put a link above on a video that I've done to show you guys how I maintain my natural hair while in long-term protective styles like this one. It's very beneficial. It's gonna make your scalp feel like mint. So check that video out. Also, if you are trying to nurse your hair back to health, I would recommend washing it weekly, or even every 2 weeks, simply because you want to quite regularly remove excess products and always have like a clean slate to work with your hair, so that you can get all that nourishment in. For example, if your hair has been damaged from heat, it's a bit weak, it's breaking all the time, you might need protein treatments every now and then. Obviously you don't want to overdo protein treatments, but obviously you want your hair to be able to receive the protein. And sometimes that means cleaning your hair, cleansing it, and make sure it's clean and ready to receive the protein treatment. So now let's get into things that can actually work against you when it comes to protective styling. Let's talk about installation. Whether you're installing wigs, not wigs, you don't install wigs. Whether you're installing braids, twists, cornrows, crochet, whatever, you know, four locks, whatever the case. If your styles are tight, if your styles are too heavy on your hair, especially if you've got weak edges here and you go super, you know, grabbing, you know, small little pieces of hair with excessive amounts of extensions, especially on the edges, girl, you will be saying bye to those edges pretty quickly. So tight styles, tight protective styles are a no-no in any situation. You want to make sure your edges are taken care of as much as possible. Leave them alone. If you're going to add extensions, make sure they're light and a very small amount, because you don't want heavy things hanging onto these edges. Up here, it's a little bit better because the strength in numbers, and the hair up here is usually thicker than the edges and able to withstand a little bit more. I would be careful up here, but you know, the edges, yeah, you want to really be careful with not putting too much weight or tightness around here. And repeated use of, you know, hair extensions that are too tight or too heavy, you know, back to back, if you're doing that quite often, that's when you see people, you know, losing their edges, and their edges can't grow back, and you know, they're not flourishing pretty much. So you don't want to get to that place. You want to switch up your styles. You want to give your hair a break from extensions, and you want to avoid braiding or plaiting or, you know, tight styles or heavy extensions on the edges. If you're installing weaves or you're wearing a wig, super important that you take care of your hair whilst it's in the wig. And this goes for other styles as well, but specifically people that wear wigs, sometimes you just forget about your hair and say, oh, it's locked away, I don't need to worry about it. Well, wrong. We need to actually take care of our hair even when it's under wigs. No, especially when it's under wigs. It's very prone to drying, and if it dries enough, it will break. And when it breaks, you won't see your length. You'll be like, oh, you know, I've been protecting my hair, but I can't see the length. So you want to make sure you moisturize your hair, you wash your hair, you cleanse it. You know, you're not just neglecting your hair. You make sure that you continue using your concoctions. For example, this one that I've got, you know, water, oil, and some essential oils, and also a leave-in conditioner. Very quick and easy to just spritz on the scalp and on the hair itself, and that's your moisturization done. If you're wearing weaves and you leave a leave out here, you know, I know there's people that will leave like a little section up here and they like to style it with heat. Yeah, you are protecting the rest of your hair, but this one that's been left out is not really protected. If anything, it'll be worse off because you're a lot of the times using a lot of heat to try and blend it with the rest of the hair so that it looks natural. And some people don't mind that, but if you want a holistic health where your entire hair, head of hair is healthy, you might want to consider staying away from leave outs, unless your leave out is, I don't know, the texture of your hair and you don't need to use a lot of heat. But even then, you know, it's not really protected because it's out. So I would say maybe just stay out, or use like stay away from leave outs altogether if your aim is to try and grow your hair and nourish your hair as a whole. Make sure once again your styles are not tight. The weaves, they cannot be tight, guys. Sometimes we traumatize our scalp and we don't realize, why is my hair thinning out? Why is my hair shedding so much? Sometimes it's too tight on here and the hair just, you know, starts falling out. We don't want those things. We want to really protect our hair. Another thing to be cautious about when it comes to wigs and weaves is what the perimeter of the wig has. Some of the wigs that we wear do have lace, and I've heard that the lace is soft in some cases, but I've seen and touched some of the wigs that have got really rough, you know, that, what do you call it? The lace is a bit rough. And if it sits on your edges constantly, it can cause some damage. It can cause, you know, the rubbing against the edges, and that can cause breakage and dryness. You don't want that. So I would say be very careful when you're choosing your wigs or the wigs that you use to protect your hair. And let me just take this opportunity to say, if you've got a stylist that just goes to town on your scalp and it's just knitting your scalp together, you feel like you're on fire, please, it's okay to stand up and say, look, I'm not going to continue. I can't do this. I'm in pain. This is not how I style my hair. Because stylists need to start listening to the customer. It's your money, so they need to listen to what you want as a client. Sometimes it's hard to tell that she's being a little bit too tight with handling your hair, because it happens gradually. If you've had your hair done before by a stylist that's not that gentle, you know what I mean. She'll start slowly. It feels a little bit firm, but by the time she's done, it's like I can't breathe. And I'll insert some pictures of damage I had in the past where people just butchered my scalp. Guys, I never ever, I'm not ashamed to stand up and say, look, stop touching my hair. I'm gonna go somewhere else because you're damaging my scalp. And it's unpleasant. I don't want to damage my follicles, pretty much. So be sure to be aware, be present while the style is being installed. If you feel that it's a little bit too tense, even if she just has like maybe 2 cornrows, hey, let her know, and let her know to slow down, make it loose, or just be done with it. Yep. Another thing when it comes to the wigs, and I believe the weaves, is the glue. Yeah, I know there's ways of applying the glue and removing the glue so that it just slides off the edges, but guys, you're bound to have some damage. I know there's some weaves where you apply the glue to the weft and then you stick it onto the hair. Be careful. If you're gonna do that, be careful. I stay away from that completely. I've never done it before. I probably never will. I would never do that. Glue on my hair and stick on extensions is just, it really just sounds really counteractive to me and what I'm trying to do with my hair. So I would say be really cautious when you're doing that. And if you want to call that a protective style, maybe not. It's probably not that protective, because glue brings a whole lot of problems in and of itself. So I'll think twice before I apply styles that require glue on my edges. Make sure the ratio of your actual hair to the hair extensions being added is not too far off. If the extension is too much and you've got this tiny piece of hair that you're adding so much extension, the hair won't be able to withstand the weight of the extension, and you're gonna pull your hair and damage it and traumatize your follicles, etc. The list is endless. So no tight, no heavy hair extensions, but also up here. Leave the edges alone. Leave the edges alone. Embrace the frizz. It's okay to not have laid edges. Laid edges are pretty, and I like them as well, but I like my edges the way they are. Like, they're cool. They're free. So yeah, just be cautious, especially around here, and the nape as well, just to not go to town, guys. For the sake of beauty, sometimes the health of your hair is more important. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to lose your edges for a one-time cute, nice looking style. You know what I mean? And that's the same story for twists or even crochet. And I just want to say that you must not leave in your extensions for too long. I would say 2 months is probably the maximum you should be leaving any long-term protective style, unless it's something where you can maybe get to it and wash and condition. Other than that, 2 months tops. And while you're getting to that 2 months, you have moisturized your hair and you've washed it as well. That would be the ideal care for long-term hair extensions. Did I say wash the hair extensions? I think I've said that already, but I'll say it again. Wash your hair extensions, guys. Wash your hair while it's in extensions. Moisturize your hair while it's in extensions. You will thank me when it's time for takedown. Your hair will be so soft. It will be so what's the word, supple and easy to handle. If you've made this mistake before, in the past, where you haven't looked after your hair while in extensions, the takedown can be a nightmare. You're taking your hair down and, it's falling in the handfuls, like you don't want that experience.
This video would not be complete without me talking about the takedown of your long-term protective style. This is where all the magic happens. You are going to be seeing your length, your thickness, the results of protecting your hair. And to be able to do this, you want to make sure you set aside enough time to take your style down properly. You want to be patient and do it really gently, because if you're rough, girl, you're going to be breaking your hair and all this will be pointless.
I hope you've learned one or two things from this video. I hope you can go home and try and implement some of these things to ensure that you have a healthy hair journey, that you're protective styling the right way and not causing damage to your hair, instead of, ripping the results, the beautiful results that come with protective styling, like length and thickness and health and less single strand knots. You know what I mean? The list is endless. So protective styling can be really great for our hair, and it can also be detrimental. Make sure you choose the former. Healthy, nourished, moisturized, lovely, supple hair. Don't choose dry, flaky, breaking, damaged hair. We don't want that. We're here for the health and the length. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, it's Pamela Naturals. Ta-da!